Hello everyone, and welcome back to actually our final edition of Ask Ron for this year, Ron.
Happy New Year.
This will be our last one, so Happy New Year everyone. Okay, our first question is from John Moisa from Virginia.
Hey John.
I was calling FSBOs, and one homeowner I was talking to stated his home was no longer for sale. He did, however, tell me the house next door has been for sale for the past 3 years and has been listed by 2 different brokers in those 3 years. The homeowner is a widow who moved in with her out-of-state relatives. What are the pitfalls and potential problems of contacting the current owner and or family while the house is listed?
All right, well, first of all, you're doing nothing wrong contacting the family unless the realtor brought you the listing. Since the realtor did not, you have every right to contact the owners. Because sometimes they say it's listed and it's not listed. If you did the work to track down the owners, it's free game. Now, if it is listed, you will have to deal with the realtor because they do have a contract on it, and you can't just ignore that. Somebody will probably have to either pay the commission and or negotiate the realtor down or out of it. However, many times, as I said, they're not listed when people say they are. So I have no problem calling the owner directly, finding out if there's even a deal there, finding out the information about the property, and then finding out if it truly is listed, and then verifying, because sometimes people think it's listed and it's not. Even because the realtor's involved doesn't mean it's listed. So verify that it's listed, and either it is or it isn't. You're fair game talking to the owner because you contacted them first.
Okay, next question is from Barbara Carten, and she's from Indiana.
Hey Barbara.
Dear Ron, you have said that Scott did not get any axe deals for the first 6 weeks. What do you attribute this to? Was it Scott's inexperience, the quality of the VA's leads, or both?
Well, no, we didn't have a VA the first 6 weeks. Scott didn't have any experience in the FSBO side of the business. His experience came from buying bank-owned properties, funding them with private loans, and then selling them on land contract. He did have to learn what ACTS was all about, and as you'll recall, that's about the time we were just starting ACTS, which was October of 2011, I guess. And so we were learning the terminology together. He didn't have any book to follow. He didn't have any course to go by. We just had to play it by ear. So largely because we went through the learning curve during that 6-week period, and it just took him that long to get his first deal under contract. I guess he was scared a little bit, so self-esteem problem because he had never done that kind of real estate before. But he came out of her pretty fast, and there he is today. I did about 70 deals this year so far that last time I counted.
Right. Just takes a lot of practice, huh, Ron?
You got to work at it, but it's not that big a deal. Once you get it down, you got it down.
All right. Okay, next is from Alyssa Slack, and she is from Pensacola, Florida.
My state.
Yes. Okay, hello, Ron. I thank the good Lord that we found you years ago. And now may I ask you 3 questions?
You may.
Number 1, what is your favorite source for finding out-of-town homeowners?
You should contact the list companies. I think melissadata.com can do that for you, because it's really just a match of you have to go on public records, and you have a homeowner that has an address listed, but it's not the address of the house. So it's really just a search of public records for homeowners that don't match the address. So I think Melissa Data can do it for you. I'm not 100% sure. If they can't, they can probably lead you to a company that can.
Okay, her next question. In a previous video, you touched on new laws regulating taking homes in foreclosure subject to the mortgage. Would you mind touching on that subject one more time?
Sure.
And clarify, A, is it just the homes in active foreclosure that we are to avoid?
I'll clarify it.
And B, are the 30, 60, 90 days
2 things you got to remember.
to be avoided?
If it falls into the new law, the SAFE Act law, which you're referring to, which changed the Florida foreclosure rules, I think it was year before last, not last year, the house must have been filed on. It means a list pendants must have been filed, and they must live in the house. If a list pendants has not been filed, even though for 1 or 2 years behind, it kicks it out of that act. Or if it has been filed, but they don't live in the house anymore and they've abandoned it, it kicks it out of that act. So those rules don't apply. And the rule is very simple. You cannot take it over subject to, you can't even option it. The only way you can buy a house that is within that rule is to pay all cash for it. Now that does mean you can short sale it, but even then, you have to have a special contract, a special addendum with a 3-day right of rescission. And so if you're going to sign a contract with someone who's in foreclosure and living in the house, you better see your attorney or title company to get the right documentation before you do. And again, if you do, it's strictly an all-cash deal, which likely means it's a short sale deal, because it's unlikely you're going to want to pay all cash on a house that's in foreclosure when you're offering less than what the mortgage balance is without getting a short sale.
Okay, and that was her third question. Can we still flip them as short sales?
Well, sure.
So that
All
answers.
short sale rules apply.
Great.
In fact, we're going to have a whole short sale deal at the convention coming up in January in Orlando. And we're going to bring in a guy that'll do all the short sales for you at no cost to you, and split the profits with you if you like. So you just send them to him, he does all the work, boom, done, and he even helps you find the buyers, and he'll put up the money to fund them, do transactional funding at closing, as long as you have the buyer in place. So make sure you're at the convention, and I'll have him there for you.
Okay, and then from Milan Kisig.
Milan.
Let's see, Milan is from Nevada. Okay, so we look for over-leveraged houses to use with the AX program. How much over-leveraged is too much?
All right, well, Milan, we don't look for over-leveraged houses. What we do is we have our VAs call FSBO ads, and if you want, you can implement several other things to get sellers to call you, such as the yellow letters and signs and the like. And then we fill out a property information sheet, which is on your Gold Club site, and that tells us whether the house is over-leveraged or not over-leveraged. They're going to come in free and clear, which happens to be 34% of your market today in America. Are they going to have a mortgage with equity? Are they going to have a mortgage that's over-leveraged without equity? They're either going to be current or in arrears, in good shape or poor shape, and that pretty much describes what's going to come at you. So your goal is to take what is on the sheet with the sellers who say yes, they want to work with you, by saying yes to the question that yes, they'll lease purchase it, or they'll owner finance it, or they'll sell it for what they owe on it. If the answer is to yes to one of those questions, then and only then does the over-leverage part kick in. If it's over-leveraged, then likely it is an AX deal. So we don't look for AX deals, we look for FSBOs that want to work with us, and then we back into whether it's an AX deal or a sandwich lease purchase, or whether it's a buy with owner financing deal. So when you learn to pre-screen the prospects, then it'll quickly fall into one of those molds based on the information that is on the property information sheet and the seller's answers to the yes or no questions.
Okay.
How far over leveraged? There's no answer to that, because only the market can tell you that, Milan. We have put properties on the market, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 owed on them, more than they're worth, and the tenant buyers come and get them, because remember, it's not about what's owed on them. They're going to give a long-term 10-year lease, and the principal gets paid down every single month. So picture yourself as the tenant buyer. You're going to move in a house, live in it, control the house, have an option to buy it for 10 years, get the benefit of the debt pay down, and then you got a reasonable monthly payment on top of that, and you get the American dream of home ownership. What's owed on it, you don't never know. What you do is you get it under contract, you put it out on the market. If you can find a tenant buyer that wants to come in and you can get a $5,000, $10,000 assignment fee, you got a deal. If you put it under contract and for some reason the market don't want it, then you don't have a deal. You have nothing to risk, because your advertising is free. You're going to do it all online. You're not even going to give the seller a deposit. You're not making promises you can't keep, because the seller is fully aware that if you don't sell a house, if you don't find a buyer, that this thing is not going to close. So it's a no-risk deal on your part. So you put it on the market, worst can happen, you don't sell it, but you still build a buyer's list while you're trying to find buyers for that house. So far, I think Scott's had maybe one, maybe two that we just quit on because the market just wouldn't bite. Usually, it's not because of the debt on it, it's because the payment is higher than they want to pay. We find that more of a problem than we have what's owed on it. They just don't seem to care that much about what's owed on it. Plus, we have in our AX course, in our Control Without Ownership course, there is a plan in there where we allow we make the seller sign a document stating that they'll cooperate in a short sale if and when the buyer wants to buy the property before the debt is paid down to where they can go get a loan on it. So we've provided for all of that. So if you haven't got my Control Without Ownership course, you might want to get that ordered. Come to the convention, we'll have it for you there. And don't forget, we're doing an all-day ACT seminar, guys and gals, on January 23rd in Orlando. And it's free, it's part of the package. You can even get into that with a general admission ticket, even if you don't buy the Platinum Pass. But hey, time's running out. You better get one of them Platinum Passes because you're going to get a lot of stuff with that Platinum Pass. $297 for 2 people. Come on, that even includes 2 banquet tickets where you get into the live show and the banquet. So get on to Ron. What is it, Debbie?
New Age
with Ron. God, we need a shorter site. newagewithron.com and get registered for the convention, guys. And let me spend the day with you. And Scott and I actually are going to spend the day with you teaching you this ACTS program. It's your only chance you're ever going to be able to get to see this, to do this ACTS seminar for free. And that's at our convention all day on the 23rd. So get on and get registered right now if you haven't already.
Okay, that's it, Ron. So we'll see everybody next year.
See you next year. Yeah.